well.
Now, Lauren, again, before we get to the calls here, your mate, old blackface Trudeau, he was out there suggesting the past couple of days that, the Great Reset, right? He's signing up to the full lefty screed on all of this. The cover of COVID has been used by politicians to achieve whatever the heck it is that their goal is, right? It seems left-wing politicians have been more effective at being able to unify around what that goal seems to be. But again, when you check in with mates back in Canada, or obviously you just observing what's happening, they're hiding in broad daylight, aren't they? They're hiding before you, saying we are going to remake the joint, and COVID is the excuse, not the reason.
Yeah, and it's been incredible to see people labeled as conspiracy theorists if they bring up the Great Reset. I saw it happen to Pauline Hanson when she tried to bring this subject up, just being completely brushed away when this is something that quite literally Trudeau was saying. He was repeating, build back better, the Great Reset. This is a chance to reimagine our world. Reimagine it as what? This socialist paradise? Didn't we already try that in the USSR, Venezuela, and 1,000 other places, Cambodia, where that went great? And I just want to get back to the point, the cover that this is coming in under is we want to save lives. We want to make sure people are safe. And I'm so sick of hearing that. People saying, you want grandma to die because you don't want a lockdown. Oxfam has come out with a study showing that 128 million people will be forced into starvation, with 12,000 a day dying due to this as a result of lockdown-related economic crisis in the third world, in places like Africa. But of course, why should we care about them? They're just poor Africans, right? Like, come on. Shouldn't the progressive elite be saying these people's lives matter too? Well,
it's so good that you say this, because I get the feeling, and I sincerely do not mean to offend people with this analogy, right? Because it happened to our family. But there are people who see horrible car crashes that kill people on the Easter long weekend, and they go, oh, isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? But then after about 30 seconds, you go, oh, didn't happen to us. Thanks, move on. That's my feeling about COVID lockdowns, right? Yeah. Well, if I don't own a business, it doesn't really matter. If I'm an employee, the boss can cover it. As a state government, we can cancel all elective surgery because bugger whether that bloke needs the hip or not. Sure. We're getting on top of 30 cases here or 25 cases there. And again, we think about things like there will be, guaranteed, and you'll never read about this person because they will never appear in the media. There is a woman who will have thought there's something weird going on. I think I might have noticed a lump. Yeah. And that she will put it off for 3 months. Yeah. And that'll be the 3 months that's the difference between which stage of breast cancer she is going to have. But you'll never read about that. No, and you won't read about the self-harm, and you won't read about the ongoing, relational fracturing that will happen. I mean, I could tell you a dozen stories. I wrote something for the West a couple of weeks ago, and I touched on three. And one was a bloke whose 9-year-old son lives here in New South Wales. Family not together like many families, but hasn't seen his 9-year-old son for a year. And that's a year where a child changes so very much, missed a year of his child's life. And the thing that I've hated the most, as a West Australian, and I know I'm not an orphan with holding this view, is the selfishness. It's the whole I'm all right Jackism. If I can go to the footy and I can go to the pub because of our hard border, I don't mind. You know what? You're just being selfish. If it's for the greater good. Well, okay, well, you surrender going to the pub maybe, and let's have some social distancing, and let's check into pubs and things like that, and we'll keep the borders open. But again, literally what just happened, and congratulations Queensland on winning the State of Origin, was it ever not going to end up being them? But literally the biggest sporting event in the world since post-COVID was 50-something thousand people at Suncorp Stadium. Right. So in the same state that says 50,000 people can go to the footy, there's a limit on the number of people who can go to church.
I'm telling you, that's it.
There's going to be a ban next year, a ban on you being able to drop your kid off for their first day at school.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
in Queensland?
Yeah, Lauren.